Hi folks, my name is Dr. Dain here, and it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. I make a lot of videos and a lot of video sharing tools for people to find themselves and what's true for them. And today I wanted to do something a little different, which is I want to tell you a little bit about my story. And I apologize if I tear up during this. This is a really vulnerable space for me. And I just wanted to put this out there for you to see if it may contribute to you, see in some way in which it might inspire you or apply to your life, and let you know you got this. So you are far too great a gift to the world when you are being you to turn that down or shy away from it in any way. A little over 20 years ago now, I literally set a date to end my life. I knew when and I knew how. And in fact, I had planned the date in such a way that it wasn't going to be around the birthdays of anybody that I cared about in my life, anybody that knew me closely. It wasn't going to be around any major holiday because I didn't want them to think of me and suffer during the future during those times. What I wanted was the freedom to get out. Now, I got to that place because I had been suffering and I had been unhappy, and I felt like I could not make my life work even though I was using every tool I could find. And I was unhappy for the better part of 3 years and depressed and suicidal during that time. And see, what would happen for me is I was literally reading 5 books at a time. Books on spirituality, books on self-help, books on business development and creating money, anything that I thought might be able to pull me out of the hole that I was in. In addition, I would go to weekend workshops. And what would happen is by Sunday night of the workshop, I would say, yay, I would have this sense of lightness, this sense of possibility. And by Wednesday of the following week, it felt like everything crashed in on my head. And I was back in the same place I was before the workshop started. After one of these weekend workshops, the same thing happened. I was very happy Sunday night, and Monday and Tuesday it started going away, and Wednesday I woke up and the world had caved in on my head, and I felt like I just can't do this, and I had given up hope. It was at that point that I said, universe, you have 6 months. Either my life truly changes or I'm out of here. And I literally grabbed a calendar and set a date to end my life. Because I figured if everything I had done hadn't changed it, then nothing was going to. And it was in that moment that I'd actually just given up hope. See, my entire life, no matter what happened to me, I always had a sense of hope that it could change. Somewhere in my world, I always knew that it could change. And a lot of my life, it's like there was a lot of it, there was unhappiness all around me. And so the unhappiness was kind of like this, and the happiness was like this, and it would pop its head out. Sometimes I'd be like, yay, see, it's still there. And that was such a glorious thing, because what I really wanted in my life was to be happy. That was really all I truly ever desired. And to have the hope of that going away was devastating to me. And see, when I was a little kid, my parents got divorced when I was 2. And I was with my mom. And my mom and I had so little money that the only place she could afford to live was in the ghetto in Los Angeles. And it's funny that I say as a 2-year-old, we had money. We had so little money, you know, even as a little kid. And if you're a product of divorce and lived with one parent, it does tend to have that sense of we. Well, it definitely did for me. My mom has been my best friend my entire life. But we moved into a household where I got abused a lot. I got physically abused. I got beaten with belts. I got told that I couldn't eat. And I got told that I was responsible for everybody's problems. And this went on nonstop. And even with all of that, though, even while I was getting, I remember the getting physically abused, beaten with belts, with this circle of women standing over me. hitting me. And I still remembering having this point of view, it doesn't have to be this way. Why don't they understand that it doesn't have to be this way? And I carried on, and I still had a lot of happiness, and I grew up and I became a chiropractor because I wanted to create miracles in people's lives. But even in that, see, I'd seen so many people who were chiropractors and also other healers who seemed like they had magical powers. Like people would come to them with something and it would change. And that's what I wanted to do for people. And I was so excited and I was so enthused. And so I graduated from chiropractic school with honors, and I paid for it myself. And I was like, I'm doing this thing. This is going to be so cool. And yet I wasn't creating the results. And no matter what technique I did, no matter what I tried, I wasn't creating the results that I had gotten into it for. That was creating a level of depression. I was in a relationship that everybody thought was perfect for me, including me, with this beautiful woman that I loved completely. And I was living in Santa Barbara, California, which is paradise. And I remember driving to work, looking left and right, at the people in the other cars on the freeway, thinking how happy they must be. And I kept thinking, am I the only person who's unhappy here? And what am I going to do? And it started weighing on me so dynamically that's when I got to that point, thinking I'd found the answer and realizing I hadn't. Having everybody else look at my life and think it was perfect, and me not having any access to what was true for me. Well, I saw an ad. After making this demand of myself in the universe, you have 6 months or I'm out of here. I saw an ad for something called Access Consciousness, and I went and had one session of something called Access Consciousness bars. I went into the session depressed and suicidal, and literally having already planned the date to end my life. I came out of it with a gratitude for being alive. It was a space of being where it was like being me was finally okay. And if you look at the childhood that I had, there was that abuse. And then also when I was 6 years old, my dad got married to another woman, and my stepmother made it her sole duty. She hated the fact that I was around. She made it her sole duty to do everything she could to invalidate my being in every way possible, including telling lies about me to other people so they would not like me. And all I wanted to do was be loved and love her. And once again, it was another one of those places in my life where I was like, it doesn't have to be this way. But no matter how much I knew it didn't have to be this way, if other people didn't, what it felt like was this continuous invalidation of my being. So here I am, I have this session, and it feels like all of that stuff somehow gave way to a space where it was okay to be me. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. If it feels this way to be alive, I'm in. I will never forget looking out of my window at my chiropractic office at the clouds and thinking to myself, has it always been this beautiful here and I just haven't noticed? And apparently it had been, I just hadn't noticed. And so what that did is it actually restored my hope. It restored my sense that, okay, this is possible. If this whole thing and the way I feel about it can change this fast, there must be something else available. So I started pursuing it, of course. And what started occurring over the next few weeks and months is I started waking up happier and happier and happier. Now, that's not to say that the universe didn't want to cave in on my head again, but the other thing that I got along with this session was the girl that did the session gave me these tools. And so I would use the tools and I would get space again. And I remember within a few weeks walking around going, it's okay to be me. For the first time in my life, since I was a little kid, it was actually okay to be me. And it changed my whole perspective, because then I started looking at, wow, it's kind of one of those things of, now that I got it, what do I do with it? And that became the exploration that I started going on. Now that I have access to this thing called being me, that I really had given up hope on ever finding, what am I going to do with this? Fast forward to a few weeks later where a man named Gary Douglas, who was actually the founder of Access Consciousness, walks into my chiropractic office and asks me for a session. The result of that session was I realized there was this way of working with people and bodies that opened up, that was an energetic way of working that seemed to give people access to their being the same way I'd gotten access to mine. And I was the one facilitating it. And make no mistake about it, I didn't think it was like, oh, this is me doing this. It was like, this is me facilitating this. Somewhere this is available. Well, what that led to was doing classes about being you. A class I call Energetic Synthesis of Being. And within those classes, we were able to use this energetic, I don't know what you want to call it, technique or ability or space or whatever. And we were able to have some of the most beautiful, vulnerable conversations that started getting people out of the judgment of them. And people started liking themselves more. And they started being more grateful for them. Well, those classes led to such amazing conversations and opened up so much that I wanted to make it more available to the world. So I took the transcripts of several of those and created a book called Being You, Changing the World. And this book is not, it's roughly based on the class, but in actuality, this book is Conversations in Being. It's one of those where you can just flip the page when you're having a crappy day and need some help, or you're having a great day and would like to get even happier. And it just speaks to you wherever you are in the moment. Well, that came out in 2011. And it was interesting because at the time the book came out, very few people seemed to have any sense of the value of being you, and few people were talking about it. And within a few years, even Coca-Cola was saying, being you is where it's at. And now you see it everywhere. And am I saying that's the book? No, I don't know what it is, but I'm really grateful that the conversation is out there. And so what I started noticing is, that along with so much of the image that is in the world, and we all know what that's like, you know, on social media, people curate their image and they do the perfect makeup and they post the beautiful picture of them and their kids by the waterfall, and they don't tell you that right before that they had to wipe throw up off of everybody because one of the kids threw up, and they were having an argument and that they're getting a divorce, like that sort of stuff. But increasingly I've seen so many people who are willing to lay it on the line of what's true for them as a being, what's true for them as a person, and lay it on the line and just go, this is me. You can love it, you can hate it, you can do whatever you want with it, but I'm still gonna be me. And this is a conversation that is now out there and available in the world. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that that exists. Because what is being you? It's when you're living from what's true for you. And in contrast to what a lot of people think, a lot of people think if you're being you, then it's all about you and not about anybody else. But in actuality, the people that make things all about them and not about anybody else and aren't a contribution to other people, are they really being them, or are they being some image where they are more and everybody else is less? Being you is like, hey, I'm being me and you're all invited to be you too. When you're truly being you, that's when you're the contribution to people. That's when you're the gift to people. I was invited 17 or 18 years ago now to write my eulogy. And it was very telling, and if you haven't done it, I highly suggest it. And what is your eulogy? What people say about you when you're gone. Like, what do you want to have said about you when you leave this planet? How do you want to have lived your life, and what impact would you like to have had on other people? And I clearly remember in that eulogy writing that as a result of what I was here to do and be, and whatever was contributed by my presence on the planet, people got that it was okay to be them. And they actually started seeking this out. And it was a gift that changed the world. Could you imagine for just a moment right now what it would be like to wake up in the morning with no judgment of you or anybody else? No judgment of your body, No judgment for what you haven't done. No judgment for what you have done. Just get a sense of the space that that would be. And now get the sense of actually living your day that way. And no matter what comes up and who comes into your space and tries to activate that judgment machine, it tells you that being you is wrong or that you've done all kinds of wrong things so you can't like you and all that sort of stuff. No matter what comes at you, that judgment machine never activates again. And that right there is just one of the aspects of what it is when you're being you. And when you do, you start to be this space, you be this different way in the world that I don't know how to describe, but it gives other people permission, gives other people an invitation, gives other people the sense that if they're doing it, maybe so can I. And if they're living beyond needing an image or judging themselves for who they're being, maybe so can I. And from my perspective, that's one of the greatest gifts we can be for each other. And so this year, 2021, we're doing something that I am extremely excited about. Like a big 6-year-old, I got like tears of joy and, laughter at the same time. This is going to be the very first International Being You Day. It's going to be on May 22nd. And the invitation for this day is for you to be you. And when I say we, not just me and the mouse in my pocket, me and a lot of brilliant people that are behind the scenes creating this as an invitation to all of us on this planet. Or maybe off this planet, I don't know. Wouldn't that be interesting? Somebody on Alpha Centauri is sitting there, zooming in or whatever, live streaming it. Who knows? Who knows what's available in this world of infinite possibilities? But this will be May 22nd. It starts at noon Houston time. And we've got several hours of wonderful stuff there. And one of the things that just really touches my heart, my being, is that there's so many people out there. So much of the world looks, easy for me to say, so much of the world looks and they focus on the drama, they focus on the most trauma and drama possible and try to bring that out in people. But there is this groundswell of people that are talking about their different way of being with their kids, their different way that they're being in the world. They're asked for something different, and they're being them in the invitation. And this day is going to be about celebrating you. It's going to be about exploring you and what it actually is to be you. It's going to be about inspiring you and inspiring us all to know that this is a choice we have available. Could you imagine just for a moment what it would be like to have a world where the majority of people were truly being them? Big ask, I know, but big asks are what create big possibilities and big futures. So let's ask. And so consider yourself warmly invited to this day. You can go to beingyouday.com where we have it all there. And there's also some warm-up videos to get you started. And or you can go to my YouTube channel on the day, May 22nd, starts at noon Houston time. You can go to my YouTube channel and live stream it from there. But this day is going to be a day about what it is to be us. A day where that invitation actually exists. And a day which will live in infamy. Just had to say that because being me, I have a weird sense of humor. And thank you so much for watching this video and receiving the invitation. And please realize being you is this amazing gift for you and also for others. Because what I see people craving out there in the world now more than ever is the freedom and the permission to be whatever it is they are. And that shows up in so many different ways. This is a day to celebrate that, to explore that, to inspire that, to encourage that, and also to choose it. So consider yourself warmly invited, and we are going to have a lot of fun, because being you also involves a lot of laughter. What if you truly being you are the gift, the change, and the possibility this world requires? You are my beautiful friend. Keep being you. I'll see you on May 22nd. Bye. One other thing I almost forgot. If you have a question that you'd like me to talk about, or a comment that you have about this, or something you might want us to discuss on that day, please put it in the comments below. And I will take a look, and we will see how much of that we can also cover on that day, because your input is valuable. Your input is actually a gift that we can draw from to create things that's greater for everybody. Thanks.